Over the weekend, the Cincinnati Bengals draft caused a near meltdown among the fan base. But now that the dust has settled, what if I told you that this 2025 class has a lot more promise than we may have realized? Now, emotions are always high on draft weekend, and that seems especially true when you're a part of Who Dey Nation. And though I will admit, when looking at the consensus board throughout the process, there were good players hanging around for each Bengals pick, only to be passed by. However, now that we have the gift of hindsight, and after listening to coach and player interviews, you can see that maybe there was a plan all along. The Bengals' first round began with Shemar Stewart. And listen, no one can blame you if you felt like you was going to lose your mind in the heat of that moment. However, Walter Nolan, a likely target at defensive tackle, was gone just before the Bengals were on the clock. And after that, you had Shemar Stewart, Mike Green, and James Pierce, all edge defenders who were the best value in that spot to provide pass rushing help, with Stewart being pegged as the last option due to the lack of college production, according to the consensus. And of course, the Bengals went with Stewart, causing dismay throughout Bengaldom. But now when you look back at it, Stewart was an elite level prospect who performed at an all-time level athletically throughout the testing period. Not to mention that he was the one prospect out of the three that came with 0 red flags, which was key to this class, in hindsight, but we'll come back to that. Now, though his production was low, that could be said for every prospect along the Texas A&M D-line, which all got drafted, by the way. Now, there's no denying, Stewart is going to need some refinement in his tackling fundamentals. However, his athletic profile suggests that at the very worst, the Bengals are getting a high-level disruptor with high-level sack potential. Now in the second round, the Bengals drafted Demetrius Knight Jr., a linebacker from South Carolina. And many suggested that Knight was drafted at least a round too early. And maybe that's true. Once again, according to the consensus. Now he is an older prospect at 24. However, the Bengals are getting a highly athletic and physical beast who will be a leader in that locker room this year. But the best thing about Knight is his motivation. This is a family man who struggled in college just to feed his kids, and he will stop at nothing to take care of his family. Knight is a player that strives to be great because there are others who are relying on him to be, not just in the locker room, but at home. So what I'm saying is, do not underestimate what drives this young man to excel at the highest level once he hits the field at Paycor Stadium. Now the Bengals double-dipped at offensive line, beginning with Dylan Fairchild, who was overshadowed by his Georgia teammate Tate Ratledge. However, Fairchild is a pass protection specialist who did not give up a single sack in nearly 900 snaps. And he finished his career, not just one season, but career as a starter with an 89 pass pro rating, according to Pro Football Focus. And then there is Miami swing tackle and guard Jalen Rivers, who looks like a steal in the 5th round with his versatility, and a player who scouts and experts believe will compete for major snaps, possibly in his rookie year. The Bengals also took a second linebacker in the 4th round from Clemson in Barrett Carter. Now Carter is an athletic freak who can make plays all over the field, giving Al Golden all kinds of options, which is important because Golden has a heavy reliance on linebackers in his scheme. Not to mention, Carter came with tremendous value because many believed that he would actually go on day 2 of the draft. The Bengals wrapped up the draft with running back Taj Brooks from Texas Tech. Now Brooks is a physical between the tackles rusher and never goes down on initial contact. He is also solid in every aspect of the position and will be a perfect complement for Chase Brown, which is a great get in the 6th round. At the end of the day, the Cincinnati Bengals went back to their roots from the early Joe Burrow days, drafting leaders and high-character athletes who are all ready to contribute right out of the gate. And though Duke Tobin and company didn't have a sexy draft by any means, they did pull off a strong meat and potatoes class who could very well contribute mightily in putting this team back on track in their quest for their first Lombardi Trophy. This is Larry B. Spicer. I'm a writer and content creator for the Right Way Sports Network. And if you are a sports fan who just cannot get enough sports content in your life, then you need to visit TWSN.com for all your sports needs.